That's it. Got you.
Holy crap, this dude is the GOAT! I literally... Oh, nah, he's better. He's just different. This dude is different, bro. He is... Yo, this dude is stomping. I got no shot. Yo, that's wild. Yeah, he put his hands on me. I can't even lie. That was cold. What's up, guys? It's your boy Shady Mike Gaming, and this video is going to be my review of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, the spiritual successor to the OG Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi games. I mean, a little bit of history coming from me in the games that I've played. My first Dragon Ball Z game was Dragon Ball Z Budokai 1 on the PlayStation 2. I had Budokai 1, Budokai 2, which was like a board game story mode kind of. Budokai 3, which was one of my favorites, if not my favorite. And then we got into the Tenkaichi games. Tenkaichi 1, I feel, is a criminally underrated game. And then Tenkaichi 2 and then Tenkaichi 3 really put all the mechanics together. And we've had so many games come out since then, right? We think of the Raging Blasts of the world and Dragon Ball Kakarot that we will talk about a little bit more. And I think a lot of people have been wanting, you know, a quote unquote Tenkaichi 4 for a long time. And I mean, there's a conversation about, does this game kind of meet the mark and kind of scratch that itch? And that's what we're going to talk about. So the structure of this video, we're going to talk about my opinions, the good, the bad, and then we'll talk about should you buy the game. And that's just going to be, you know, my straight up thoughts. So I do want to start with the good. And the fact of the matter is, like I said, a lot of people have been waiting for that Tenkaichi 4. And there's definitely a big hit of nostalgia. And when I say nostalgia, I don't just mean the fact that it's Dragon Ball Z, because we've got a bunch of Dragon Ball Z games. You think of the Xenoverse of the world, the fighters that's out, or Fighter Z, whatever people call it. I think it's pronounced fighters. But you know, so when I say nostalgia, it's not just the fact that it's Goku, the fact that it's Gohan, the fact that it's Vegeta, Cell Saga, the Frieza Saga, right? But while some of that is there, it's like, dang, I'm seeing these, you know, some of these cutscenes for the, you know, first time in a few years, or several years for someone like myself. It's not just that, it's also the combat, like that actual open Budokai combat, where I have to be honest, Kakarot and Xenoverse just don't feel like the OG games, and that's going to be a big time positive for a lot of people. It's got a new control scheme, but shoot, I mean, it's even got, you can go back to the classic control scheme. So, you know, a lot of people are going to feel right at home with the combat and just being back to that combat style and that speed and that action that I personally feel just isn't provided in Xenoverse or Kakarot. So that's, for me, that's a good. They capture the feel of the OG Budokai Tenkaichi games. My second good point is the graphics. I'm playing on PC, all maxed out 4K settings with an 8700K 3080 Ti, so not super high end top of the line specs anymore. It's more so upper mid range, and yeah, 4K. Its game looks incredible. I can't speak for the console versions of the games because I am on PC, but in 4K it looks incredible. There's the occasional stutter here and there, but for the most part the frame rate is a smooth 60. However, some PC players might actually find that as a bad thing, because the frame rate is locked at 60. You cannot go above 60. There are some workarounds online for that, but if you do go above 60 FPS, for some reason that's you get like this weird slowdown effect. It's like seems to be like some type of physics or engine issue. And you can't play online, so there's no way to get above 60 FPS legitimately, and a lot of people, that's a big turn off. One thing I saw some people in my chat complaining about as well is the fact that there's no ultra wide support, and that's disappointing for a $70 or $120 game. That's simply ridiculous. But this is the good, so sorry, I didn't mean to get into the bad, but this is the good. The graphics incredible. Seeing some of these action moments and all the special effects and the aura around the players, and Super Saiyan 2 with the electricity and the sparking mode, it looks good, feels good, but it plays good. Good enough, obviously, if you've got the hardware that can push it, or obviously if you're on console. So I gotta chalk that up. It looks good. It looks like a modern title that drops in 2024. Might be the best looking Dragon Ball Z game that we've seen. So graphics definitely A+, definitely a good thing there. The next thing that I like is the challenge. The AI is built different. I mean, my goodness, the Great Ape Vegeta fight was insane. There's such a challenge. The CPU fights with timing, the CPU fights with aggressiveness, they will put you on your back. No diddy. I love the challenge. I don't know that I consider myself a great fighter game, but fighting gamer, but I know these games like the back of my hand. I mean, I'm an OG, so like I said, I came out playing all the Dragon Ball Z games. I feel like I'm a good player. I know the controls, and all that, so I'm good enough, and I felt challenged. Now, obviously, if you're a GOAT out here, you might not be challenged, but I felt like for a story mode, it's tough. It ain't easy. It's going to be hard for some people. Maybe, again, if you're a super experienced online fighter, but hey, going through the story, I don't want to just be mashing square. You have to use strategy. You have to think. Like, I really had to think about how I was going to beat Vegeta. Then it goes to his Great Ape fight, and I'm like, I don't see how I can beat this straight up. I have to strategize. I have to think. I love that when a game makes me think and it's a challenge, that's a good thing for me. So those are my positives, right? The nostalgia factor, it stays true to Dragon Ball Z, the graphics and presentation, and then the challenge. It's really good. Now, one other thing I wanted to say on the positives, I guess you can call it a positive, but it's kind of in the middle of the good and the bad. I guess I'm kind of indifferent, but there are quite a few what you can call what if scenarios where basically you can make decisions in the game that can impact kind of the canon events of the story and put you on like an alternate timeline of alternate events, which, I think is pretty cool. It's different. Not to spoil anything, but like, for example, the first decision in the game you have to make in the Saiyan saga is when Gohan is kidnapped. You get a choice to take Piccolo to go fight Raditz like you did in the anime, or take Krillin instead. So, all of these, it can lead to branching paths and different outcomes. So, that was interesting, but, I don't know. It's just, I'm kind of indifferent on it. It's not that I hated them. It's just kind of a different touch on the story mode. But what I would say I didn't like about it is you just don't know when one of these are going to trigger. Like, you don't know what is going to cause it, and it can happen. Like, some of these parameters can just take place in the middle of a fight. It's like, oh, if you deflect this attack, then you go on like a different path and someone shows up. So it definitely adds to the surprise of the game, but maybe if someone's more into like, the canon type stuff, maybe they wouldn't be big fans of that. But like I said, it's not really good. It's not really bad. I'll leave that right in the middle to be indifferent with that. Let's get right into the bad, and we just have to talk about this, and this is where I'm going to be objective, and I got to look at this game without the rose colored glasses. So the bad for me is the story mode, and by story mode, I'm being a little bit gracious here because the game doesn't have a story mode. It has what's called episode mode. It's got a story mode, what they're calling a story mode, but it's kind of told through slideshows with, the occasional voice lines and cutscenes sprinkled in here and there. But I gotta be honest, I do not like the story mode, and that is a big deal for me because I don't play online. I only play the story mode. So this was the main reason I purchased this game, is to play through the story. Now, let me explain to you how it works. There are 8 characters that you can select. It's Goku, Vegeta, Gohan. I think Goku Black is one. And then you have I think you've only got 6 unlocked at the start. I don't off the top of my head recall all the people, but it's weird. Like, if you select Goku, you only do Goku's fights, and the whole rest of the story is told through slideshows. So you start the Saiyan saga, right? Obviously, quick fight with Raditz. He takes your son. He takes Gohan away. You fight him with Piccolo, and then it just kind of skips all the way to like Nappa, and you fighting Nappa. It doesn't show Yamcha with the Cybermen, or it does, but it like shows it in a slideshow. It shows you fight Nappa once, then it doesn't show you with Krillin doing the Destructo Disc, and then it goes straight to the Vegeta fight. So I'm like, my third fight is already Vegeta. I'm like, well, dang. Same thing for the Frieza saga. In Namek, there's 50 million fights they could have done here. Gohan versus Goldo, Vegeta versus Frieza, Piccolo versus Frieza, Krillin versus Frieza, all of them struggling against the Ginyu Force, Vegeta versus Zarbon. It is all told through slideshows. You pull up to Namek, you fight Jeice, you beat Jeice, then you literally are fighting Frieza. And I'm like, dude, what? So I am not a fan of the story mode. Now, obviously, if you go back through it with Gohan, then you'll get Gohan's fights. But like, I think my problem here is there's 180 characters. Like, this is what they're saying. Like, oh my gosh, there's 180 characters. You can do this, you can do that. Almost none of them are involved in the story whatsoever. The fact that I streamed, and this is what I want you all to take away from this, I streamed for 3 hours. Mind you, probably spent 35 minutes trying to beat Great Ape Vegeta, and went straight through the Android, straight through the Saiyan, Namek, and Cell sagas. That's not good. I'm sorry, like, that's not good. The whole Cell saga is you just pulling up and fighting, Cell for a little bit. And I'm just like, no, I didn't like that. There's just too much like cut content. And a lot of people were saying like, oh, well, I mean, how many, we've been told the Dragon Ball Z story 100 times. We don't need to see it 100 times. Even if they kept with the slideshow presentation, but let us do all the fights with all the different characters. Let me do Yamcha versus the Cybermen, or like the team battles. Remember, you used to do in the OG Tenkaichi games, you used to do the team battles where you got Yamcha, then you knock out 2 of the Cybermen, then Nappa pulls up and you got to fight him, and then Chaozu comes in, blows himself up. Like, none of that's in the game. And for me, that is just a killer to the story. The length for this to be a 120 with tax dollar game of the story mode so far is completely unacceptable. I don't know if they're going to add more via DLC, because I did buy the Ultimate Edition. That's why I said $110, but I don't think it's acceptable for a $70 game. So for me, with the story mode, it feels more like a $50 or so game. But yeah, the story mode, I got to be honest with you, I could not be more disappointed in this quote unquote story or episode mode, whatever you want to call it. So with that being said, should you buy the game? And I got to just be 100 with y'all. If you are a story mode only player like myself, in the early access period for the $120 price point, absolutely the crap not. It's not worth it. It's just not. You're going to be through this in 4 or 5 hours. It's just not worth it. At launch, should you buy it? I still say no. It's not worth $70. Like I said, this is a $50, $40 game, $39.99, $49.99 game. It's not worth it. It's not worth $70. It's not a full price game if you're playing offline. Now, with that being said, who should buy the game early? I think if you are a big time online fighter that you want to get online and learn the meta and learn all of this and unlock all the characters early, maybe it's worth it for you in the early access, but even then I'd probably still wait to the launch. But those are just my thoughts. It's hard to give this game a high rating of praise because of the price point. It is just not a good priced game. And I gotta be honest with y'all, this is just something that popped into my head, and this might seem crazy or blasphemous to some of you, But I honestly feel like for someone like me and my style, I think Dragon Ball Z Kakarot might be a better purchase right now. I played that game very shortly. The combat is not as in-depth, but it does a significantly better job of doing boss fights, a significantly better job of telling the story. And that's what I care about, is telling the story and playing through Dragon Ball Z, guys. Like, that's what I'm here for. That's what I expected. I hadn't been watching Dragon Ball Super like everyone else had, so I was excited to get in and hope that it was going to take me through the story. And yeah, guys, I couldn't have been any more disappointed with the way that they chose to handle the story mode of this game. But that's just my opinion. That's just one man's thoughts on Dragon Ball Sparking. Let me know what you think in the comments below. We're here on the second channel. I appreciate the support. Make sure you like and subscribe over here. But yeah, other than that, y'all, it's your boy Shady Mike. I'm signing out. Peace. Threes.